Let's have a general overview and look at NVDA. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but let's take a look at it from the perspective of divergence, moving average channel, and cycles, and see if we can have an idea of what this market might be up to in the next little while. So I'm going to start here with a monthly. There is a slight divergence going on here between price and the commodity channel index. Now, what's really interesting is it hasn't triggered yet, but in 7 days and 22 hours, this monthly candle is going to close. And if it closes on the commodity channel index below 107.72, which right now it's currently at 105.59, so if it stays below this and closes below, it's a major sell signal for NVDA, and it would imply well, full move would be 87% correction, but easy target would be down to around 65.59. So this isn't confirmed yet, but it is something that I do have my eye on closely, because if this does trigger, it implies a pretty serious move to the downside for NVDA. So on the weekly, only thing I'm noticing is that we do have some divergence here that is not confirmed. So some bullish divergence on the CCI, MACD, and momentum, not confirmed until we get an oscillator close above these black lines, which I've labeled. So it's not anything tradable yet, but it is something that I'm keeping an eye on. Now, if we just look at NVIDIA from a moving average channel perspective, we can obviously tell that pullbacks as of right now into the low of the moving average channel would be good buy opportunities. So if we look at the monthly chart, what that would mean is a pullback into the 87.96 range, or a little bit below it, down into the low 80s. That would be a good opportunity to buy, most likely. And the reason I say that is we're pulling back here, but look at the moving average, or the 57 period moving average on the Williams accumulation distribution index. Its price is way above this still. So any pullbacks into this low of the moving average channel are a wonderful opportunity to load up with new positions. And I would use the daily chart for my entries with either moving average channel entry. We'd have the 18 period moving average entry and the divergence entries, the three safest ones that I like. So that's something to pay attention to. If we do get a pullback on NVIDIA into that 88 to low 80s range, that should be a wonderful opportunity to buy. Now, if we look at this market from the perspective of the weekly chart, we can see that still the Williams accumulation distribution index is above the 57 period moving average. So any pullbacks into the low of the weekly moving average channel would be good opportunities to buy. We can see that last week, September 4th to the 6th, there was an entry triggered here to go long because we were in the low of the MAC. We were above the moving average on the accumulation distribution index. We got triggered in here on the 6-hour chart with a divergence entry here, which the divergence occurred on the DPO and the CCI. Would have got in right about here, and both targets would have been hit. It hasn't touched the top of the MAC yet. That would only be the final target for that long position. So basically on NVIDIA coming into the week, the level that I'd be most interested in watching would be around 107.17 for basically 6-hour long entries. If we get that, I'd be satisfied to take longs for basically the divergence targets and then up to the high of the MAC on the weekly. So basically pullbacks are for buying in this market currently. We really do have to make sure we pay close attention to the divergence that's occurring on the monthly chart. If it does trigger in 7 days, then I think it's a super strong signal that NVIDIA is going to take a big time down move. And lastly, let's take a look at the cycles just for fun. So what we see here is the decennial pattern shows that there's a pretty significant cyclical high put in sometime right around now, the 23rd to 24th, and then going down to a major decennial low around the middle of October. And what I like about this is the stock market has a really strong tendency to put in a pretty nice bottom in October. So we also have strong annual predictable zones in support of an up move. So basically 95% chance that from October 25th to November 9th that there's going to be some up move, and then again 80% chance November 10th to December 20th is up. So we're coming into that really strong seasonal time of year for stocks, and that is represented here in NVIDIA's cyclical data as well. So I think that's quite interesting to note. It is supportive of the weekly and monthly moving average channel bias to look for longs on pullbacks into the low end of the moving average channel on those time frames. As long as we do not get the monthly divergent sell signal confirmed and triggered, then we're good to go for longs still on this market on any pullbacks. Other cycles that are kind of interesting. We have a major cyclical high here coming basically between now and end of October, and then a major cyclical low in the early part of December. If you're curious to know which cycles these are, or this is actually just one cycle, a temporary cycle of 116 days, which has had a pretty decent walk forward analysis. If we take this and click WFA, we can see that over time we see a lot of red. So this cycle is actually, well, you'll see it goes through periods of being inversely correlated, but it has been pretty good overall. So it's one that we still want to watch. Okay, so then we also have this, which is the more permanent cycle in NVIDIA. So putting in some sort of major cyclical low sometime in July of 2025. And that cycle is a 40-month cycle, which is a permanent cycle. It's called the 40-month kitchen cycle. So that is what cyclically is in store for NVIDIA for the high and short term. NVIDIA also has a tendency to have a pretty strong annual pattern. So that's the annual pattern here, the annual cycle here at the bottom of the screen. You can see it has a strong tendency to put in a pretty significant low right at the early part of October to rally in, well, that in this case up until early November. So a month-long pretty strong tendency, which is right along with many other stocks. It's just a very strong seasonal trade. So intermarket analysis doesn't tell us a whole lot. The most similar year here was only 53% it was 67% correlated was the most similar year. And then we had a 51 and 41% correlation. So I've created the blend of those. If I just use the 67.6% correlated year, we see that the tendency is to put in a low sometime mid-October, end of October, and then to rally strongly. But if we use the composite, gives us a little bit of a different picture. So overall, things to note with NVIDIA coming into this week for me is that pullbacks are for buying, but just to note, these levels of interest are places to look for setups or for triggers. So it doesn't mean you just buy 107.17. If we get a pullback into that level this week, I think it's a valid place to look for longs on the entry time frame. If you don't get the trigger, you don't take the trade. If you take a look at the monthly, if we do get a pullback to around the 88 level to low 80s, if it dips below that MAC a bit, that's a more high time frame level to look for more buys. So overall, NVIDIA is still strong, bullish. I'm looking to buy pullbacks. Just be aware that there is a significant trend change coming potentially if we get confirmation in 7 days and 22 hours when this monthly candle closes. So we need to keep an eye on that. So this is all the things that I'm looking at in NVIDIA this week. If you have questions about any of my strategies or techniques or teachings, you can feel free to shoot me a message. I'm a very open person to talk to. I'm here to assist people. Feel free to shoot me a message. Hope you guys have an awesome week, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my video.